All right, so wireless neoVI. It's my favorite product at Intrepid. Why is it my favorite product at Intrepid? It makes your life easier because you don't have to go to cars to extract data. So I don't know if Colt was the one that termed the term before, but I've heard him use the term sneaker net. So that's walking to your car to go get your data. So now we're using the internet. So what is wireless neoVI? It's a website and server package. So essentially it's software that we've developed that runs on a server. The server can be hosted by us. Our default option is we're just going to throw it on an AWS instance. We have experience using Google Cloud and Azure as well. Or you as the customer can certainly build your own server, and then we'll assist you with setting up that server as well. So what entirely does it do? One, everything I just did, you can do remotely. So you can make that configuration, send it remotely. The logger can literally be anywhere in the world. As long as it can connect to the internet at some point, you have control over it. So you can activate, deactivate, reprogram loggers remotely. All of the loggers will upload data to one central location, which you will have access to view all of that data on a per vehicle basis, on a fleet basis, or on an entire all basis. John, after me, is going to talk about some of our post-processing options when it comes to the server. And then simple fleet management tasks. So all of our wireless loggers have GPS built into them. So we just use Google Maps. You'll see a pin location of wherever all your vehicles are. And you can also go back to that vehicle and see its entire GPS history. We also have a lot of custom applications. Pretty much every wireless neoVI customer that I work with, we have some sort of custom application that we've made for different types of alerts, different functionality they want. We have an open REST API now with wireless neoVI, which you can build your own applications to interface with the data. We did one pretty simple one when we first launched this. There was a particular fleet manager at an OEM. He just literally wanted to know every day how many times vehicles in his fleet were ignition cycled and how many miles they drove. So we just made a quick API example, and every day he got an Excel file of exactly that. Miles driven on this car, how many times the ignition was cycled. So there's a lot of things that you can do to link to your data. So how do you set it up? You go through all the vehicle spy stuff I just talked about. You save it as what we call a WiVi file, W-I-V-I. You go to the website and you upload that WiVi file. From there, you tell it what vehicles you want it to go to. So maybe you want it to go to one vehicle, maybe you want it to go to 1,000 vehicles. You can click it individually or by fleet. The logger does not have to be online at that point. All we're doing is we're sending it to the server, telling the server what vehicles need to be assigned that script, and then you have the option of when we take the script. So you can tell it to take it immediately, which means I don't care what data you have on the device, I don't care what you're uploading, I just want you to take this new script right now. The other option is from that time moving forward, whatever's in our pending queue, we'll finish uploading that data, and then we'll take the new script. So you have your choices there. So then you've got your fleet. Of course, the hardware is not changing from what I already talked about. We can log, CAN, LIN, FlexArray, Ethernet, most, CCP, XCP. None of that changes. But now we're uploading it wirelessly to a server. That's the only key difference here. So once we offload it, we're going to translate the data. So we upload it as a compressed file format. It's a proprietary thing that we developed around CAN compression. We upload that file, and then we run it through our exporter that's on the server. That is entirely up to the user what file format you get. So by default, you're always going to get a DB file, which is an SQLite database file format. You're going to get our VSB format, and then whatever you choose. So you want CSVs, you want MDFs, hopefully you don't want BLFs. we'll translate it into those formats. So that brings me to a live demonstration. So this particular server, let's go to the beginning here. It's an internal server we have. You'll see a list of names, which of most of the people have been up here, or most of them are all here as well. So this is our company car fleet. So we've got 16 vehicles in this particular fleet. And what we use this for is everyone that gets a company car has a neoVI ion in that car, and they're responsible for maintaining that ion, setting up that ion, and we're always using basically beta versions. So it's tied to our QA process as well. So being most of us are here right now, none of these cars are online currently, except for mine, which is sitting right here. So right away you can see, just by looking at this fleet, what vehicles are online. So that's what that Wi-Fi icon is right there. We have another server which I can show you, which is a bit bigger, which you can see has multiple fleets. So pretty much every trade show we've ever done is in here as a fleet. So you can see what potentially, a large OEM customer's website might look like. You can hide fleets that you don't want to see. So like the previous website, if you've got 50 different fleets, you only care about 3 of them, you can hide those fleets. And then you can also favorite your favorite cars, which are probably actually not your favorite cars if you're having to look at them all the time. In the core center of the screen, this just gives you some information about the logger status and connection. So my device right here sitting on the desk is neoVI Ion and that serial number. It is actively running a Core Mini, that's why that's in green. And it is actively saving data, which is coming from my OBD simulator here. Being that my OBD simulator barely generates any data, I haven't really used any of my SD card capacity. But you can see here all the different ones. Last time it was online, so this is basically its last active connection. So let's see, who am I going to pick on here? So Chen Ting here, where's Chen Ting? Chen Ting's back there. So Chen Ting flew here from California. So he got out of his car on April 29th at almost 1 p.m. Does that sound about right? UTC time? And then his vehicle last uploaded data about a minute before that. And then you can see the name of his script. So let's say you want to actually look at the vehicle. You'll just click on it, and then that will bring you to that vehicle's page. So again, we give you some status information, IP addresses, what's going on with the device, its current voltage level, and its current temperature level. So that's the internal temperature to the device right there, about 50 C. This is the active script that I'm running. So let's say you logged into the website and you're like, I don't have the script that this is running and I want to know what it's doing. You can just click on it and it will download it. And right from there, you can open it. It'll open in Vehicle Spy and you can see exactly what the setup was. Data retention policy. So on this particular server, we don't really care too much about the data. So every 10 days, your data gets deleted. So basically, once your data becomes 10 days old, it gets deleted. That can be set to whatever you want. It can be never, it can be 30 minutes, doesn't matter. No jobs processing, no jobs pending. That is what this active vehicle would be doing. So if my device was actively uploading data, that would tell you how many jobs, and a job is what we consider an upload. So if I had 30 uploads to do, it would tell me I have 30 uploads pending, and then based on your server power is how many jobs we can run at a time. No locations acquired because I'm inside of a building. So let's see. Let's go to Ben. So here's a different one of our cars. This is our engineering manager. So he is currently sitting at Intrepid Control Systems. So there's Ben, parked in the back. So that's what the GPS coordinates would look like. Again, you can go to, I can click on the fleet, and then you'll see it's a wide map because we've got vehicles in California and vehicles in Detroit. But I can zoom in on Michigan here. Everyone with a company car in this room is like, hey, wait, you know where I'm at all the time? So I can see, the position of all the other vehicles. And Colt, who was just talking, has come online, so let's see where he's at. No. But you can see, so Colt came online, and it's a cellular icon, so I know that he's connected to cellular, and he's actively driving. All right, data archive. So this is where all of the data goes that your particular device has uploaded. So being that I just made a quick example collection here, it was just called collection 1. Each one is like 5,000 messages, so they're very small. So whatever you want to download, you just come over here, click the file type you want to download. And click this, and what this will do is it's going to tell you the files it's going to download. It creates a zip package and downloads it. Now let's say you needed to download gigabytes and gigabytes of data. Obviously you don't want to just sit here watching that happen. So what we'll do is you hit create download, and you can click this box that says notify me when the file's ready. What we'll do is we'll send you an email with a link to get your file once it's ready. The quick view options that I mentioned, so we have what we call the DB viewer. So this is, I'm just logging a few signals from the simulator box. So that's the name of those messages. I can open them just kind of like I can in Vehicle Spy, see the signal name, and then like I said, some statistical averages. Being that all my knobs are turned to 0, they all say 0. And then I'll let John talk more about Data Spy when he gets up here. But the green icon you see with the little plot, that will open up our Data Spy tool. Essentially what Data Spy is it's also runs on your server and allows you to plot data without actually having to download it. So when you that's a kind of a noisy one. Let's not do that one. So I was just moving the knob back and forth, but it would actually plot data. I'm sure John's going to have more realistic examples when he shows it. But that's a very nice way to be able to do some data analysis without actually having to download anything. Pending upload, so that's going to show you whatever the device currently has been triggered to upload but has not uploaded yet. A cool feature about pending uploads is, I don't have any, so it's not going to show you. Let's see if Ben does. Nope. But in your list of pending uploads, we have these, this is a new feature, we have these little lightning bolt icons. And let's say you've got this long list of 50 pending uploads, but you know a certain one has data that you need, and you don't want to wait for all 50 of those to get uploaded. You can click on the lightning bolt, and what that does is it moves it to the top. So basically, we call it a priority upload. Another new feature is manual upload from device and upload data from PC. So manual upload from device, that's actually not that new. But what that does is that goes to the device and does a scan and then returns you back sessions. So let's say you set up the logger to only upload certain trigger conditions, but you realize that you needed more of a data time window or you missed something. You can go to manual upload, and just like in Vehicle Spy with the slider bars, you can pinpoint a time of data and upload that time of data, or again, the entire SD card. What is new is upload data from PC. So we had a lot of customers that were like, look, I got lots of ions, it's great, but I also have some neoVI fires, and I want that data on the same server. So what we allow them to do now is you can take your neoVI Fire or whatever other non-wireless logger you have, extract the data to your PC, and then upload it to the server. So you can use things like DataSpy or our IPA tool, or just to have it in that one central location. The export settings, so these are the different file formats. So like I said, basically whatever you choose here. So I chose BLF and MDF 4.1. From this time on, every one of my files that gets uploaded will be translated into those file formats. If you forgot to do that, let's say you went in your data archive and you're like, oh man, this guy really wants a MDF file, not a VSB file. You can click on it. That's a search, sorry. And then do export selections. So same thing. Let's say MDF 4.1, export. So what that does is that schedules the server to do that function. And it shouldn't take that long because it's a relatively small file. But what that will do is it will tell the server to go back, so there it is. So now I've got, in this one particular collection, I now have an MF4 file. So you can always still go back and do translation. So the big part, sending the script to a device remotely. So let's do that. So I'm going to open up Vehicle Spy here, and let's just make a brand new one. So when you open up Vehicle Spy, right here, Setup Data Logger. Click on VehicleScape. Let's pretend like I didn't have the database yet, so I'll go to None. Setup Platforms, Add, and let's call it Tech Days 2018. So there's my platform name. Now I'll add a DBC file. So I just have one for this box here. So go to Add, DBC. And save that. So now I'll go to my channels list. So this is everything in the DBC file, along with what we call our neoVI network. So the neoVI network just has some information about the device itself, like GPS coordinates and things like that. So here's all of the messages. I'm just going to select all of them from that DBC file. Now, what I was talking about earlier, if you're doing like memory reads or diagnostic logging, to assign the priority to those, you just right-click, and you'll see priority here. So this isn't going to do anything for a normal mode cam message, but let's say you wanted to do a DID request. You know, the default high rate is 0 milliseconds. That's just as fast as possible. Let's say you chose low. We would do the DID rate every 500 milliseconds. The change condition, this is where I only have one collection here, so let's quickly make a second one. What change condition does is you can say, I only want to collect this data when my collection 2 trigger is active. Other than that, don't log that data. All right, so once you've picked your signals, move to standalone logging. And you can add multiple collections here. So our hardware supports up to 16 different trigger conditions. PC side, you can have as many as you want until your computer runs out of memory. Each of these you should name. So I'm just going to go back to one here. And I'm just going to say, yes? Possibly. how this is going to look, but let's see. Let's see how gross that looks. Is that any better? No? Looks terrible on my screen now, so. That'll totally break my computer. So at the top, I'm going to give it a name, just Tech Days, log, everything. Start immediately is what I'm going to leave it on, but just to show you, let's say you chose start when expression is true, you open up our expression editor, and you can use any signal from your database. So I could say this signal 1 here, I'll just double click it, and say greater than, I don't know, 300. So that could be, vehicle speed greater than 45, something like that. And then that would trigger the logger to start doing a capture. When you're using an expression, basically you're going to pick an amount of messages you want in your file. And if you're using a trigger expression, you have some more setup options. So you can say when it's been true for a certain amount of time, when it changes at all, when it increases or decreases by a given integer. So a lot more setup option there. And then that's also where you get here the time basis for the pre-trigger. Now, anytime you're using a triggered condition, you can choose to have that data uploaded wirelessly, which is what we want to do. So I'm going to change this to just be true all the time. So when it's 1, upload. And then you have options for uploading over Wi-Fi or cellular. So this is nice because let's say you want to log everything and upload everything, but you only want to do it when you have a Wi-Fi connection because you don't want a cell phone bill that's $6,000 a month. You can pick cellular for what you deem critical triggers. So maybe a driver trigger, button press, something like that. If you pick both of them, we will always default to the better option, but that just means no matter what, we're going to upload. Here, Ethernet DAC and filter setup. So this is for, our Ion, for example, can support logging IP cameras. So that's where you would set this up. We also support logging raw MAC, UDP messages, and a couple of different other traces. So there's an AutoSAR standard called data log and trace. We support that. There's also a Harman trace, so from Harman head units. That's all done over the Ethernet port. The reporting, so that's the LEDs I talked about. And then power management, like I said, default, 2 minutes, no bus traffic, we go down, shut down. So I will generate. And here's my Core Mini generator, no errors. And I'm going to export as a YVI file. Tech Days 2018.YVI. So that's saved. So now I'm going to go over back to the website, go to send script, select my YVI file. And I can put in a note. Cool demo for Tech Days. And hit upload. So these are the choices I'm talking about. So one is, when do you want the script to load? So currently queued means from the moment I press send, it's going to take that timestamp and not allow any more new uploads. So what that means is anything that's pending, we'll finish uploading that. We're not going to accept anything new. Once the pending is over, we're going to take the new script. All queued, pretty much would never use that, but what that would do is it would wait for the logger to not be acquiring any new data, which means that it could go on forever potentially. And load immediately, which I'm going to do, just means take the script right now. I don't care what you have to upload. Selected vehicles, so because I was in my vehicle page, it's going to automatically default select mine. But if I hit select vehicles, I can now go through and select any vehicle in the fleet and send the same script to them as well, or just select the entire fleet. So I'll hit send. So it schedules it, and then I'll scroll down to my activity log here. So you can see here, downloading Tech Days 2018, 100%, processed successfully. Once we do that, we delete it. It is still stored on the server, but we delete it off the device. So it's now telling me the script has changed. It's loaded my new script, caching that information. And then I'm going to move around these knobs a little bit. And eventually, it's going to generate a new upload.